Do you ever question that you will run out of people to swipe on?
No, but I have met people who think that.
There's an infinite amount of men that I can swipe on and I will eventually find what I want, almost as if I'm constructing him in real time.
I think, at least from the people that I've talked to that do use dating apps, and then at some point they get off of it, and I ask them why, and they say it's because it set their expectations too high.
Do you ever question that you will run out of people to swipe on?
No, but I have met people who think that.
I don't use dating apps.
You never?
I've used it like a couple times, but never actually with intention to do anything with it.
But you're like, no, you never worry about that.
No, there's always somebody.
See, so what I think is interesting is that is a very unique woman experience. Because men don't have that experience. For men, the vast majority of them, from what I understand, are being swiped left on. So many of them are not having the opportunity to formulate connections with women. And then I think from what I've observed, this is just what I've observed, that a lot of women have that mentality. I will always, there's an infinite amount of men that I can swipe on and I will eventually find what I want, almost as if I'm constructing him in real time.
It's funny that you say that last part, like you're constructing him in real time, because
I don't like this.
Yep.
I want this nose, this eyes, this hair, that those abs, that job, this age, chin line, in my city, 3 miles away.
Yeah. Go. So I think, at least from the people that I've talked to that do use dating apps, and then at some point they get off of it, and I ask them why, and they say it's because it set their expectations too high. After being on it for a while, they were like, nobody interests me because it made my expectations too high.
I would say not realistic.
Yeah.
Like it becomes, and I don't mean that it isn't, I think like women are the problem. I'm saying, I think my whole point is trying to find ways for us to come together. And I think, and again, not that the apps are wrong, but there's like a certain level of context that you don't get. So then there's people this is what I would kind of simplify it to. I think there's people you would swipe on that in real life you wouldn't. If you actually got to know them, you would be like, oh my God, I swiped on you? And then they're like, oh yeah, I messaged you. And then you start talking to them, you're like, what the hell was I thinking? Mm-hmm. But again, if I had that perspective, which I appreciate you for saying that, why would I ever think to swipe right on anybody? I'm like, I'm not swiping right until I find exactly what I want. Like, you better be perfect. Yeah. That's the only person I'm going to give a chance to. But that person probably don't exist.
Yeah.
No.
And then to give the other side, if he did exist, would he want you?
Yeah, probably not.
Like, I found perfection.
But nobody's perfect.
Right. No, I mean, just for the sake of,
some
people say stuff like that, like, oh yeah, he's the best.
He's perfect.
And I'm like, yeah, but does that person want you the way you want them?
I hear what you guys are saying. I see it.
And by the way, this is not an attack on you.
No, I don't feel attacked.
Open dialogue.
I don't feel attacked at all, because I wish there was. I wish there were different ways. Like, sometimes I do wish it was the good old days, and somebody would approach another person and
like the 90s.
I guess so. And boom, like there's connection, there's talking. Like, I do wish we met people that way. I just kind of what you're saying. Like, I don't think realistically, that is slowly turning to not even really a thing. To eventually, like, majority of marriages are going to start off probably on the apps.
See, and I'm not against them like beginning that way.
No.
To me, it's like, I feel like there's like this layer of something that we're missing that causes us to, like, again, I feel like it's almost like we're filtering out all these possibilities.
I agree with you there.
Because we're like, oh, well, again, it's not exactly what I want. And if I keep thinking I can eventually find it, it's kind of like that question of like, well, then why would I ever settle? I need to settle. And I know for some people that's a swear word. I need to settle because I am not perfect. So number one, I should not expect perfection, because I damn sure I'm not. But also, if I don't start figuring out ways in which I can compromise, even if I find that person, I would think more about the perspective that you have going into that relationship. I didn't have to compromise to find you. I'm not about to compromise in this relationship.
Well, so for me, I've never been on any of the dating apps thinking I'm going to find my perfect person.
Okay, good.
I think also an individual in the real world could also go through a bunch of people and let go of a lot of people because that's not their expectation. It's not the perfect person. I don't think the issue, in my opinion, is like dating apps or organically meeting someone.
Okay.
I think the issue is you as an individual and your expectations.
I think that, to me, I would agree with you. But to me, that is also a function of the dating apps. Because, like you said, if I'm getting this endless barrage of men that are hitting on me or wanting to connect with me, it's diluting my perception of reality. So my expectations are going to be delusional because I think I deserve exactly what I want. And I should not have to compromise because all of you keep looking for me. So then why would I ever need to compromise? As opposed to if the shoe's on the other foot and 5 of you were looking for me, now I'm going to be more intentional and be like, well, let me see, what these guys got, because that's all I got. So let me see, can I have a genuine connection with them? Do they want some of the same things that I want, like we were talking about earlier?
But that happens in real life dating too.
No, it can. What I'm saying is, in real life, you don't have access to the amount of people you have access to online. You will never meet the amount of people in real life that you will meet online. Like you just said, you believe there was an infinite amount of men. There's not an infinite amount of men in the world. There's more women than men in general. Yeah. So it's numerically impossible. But, and then again, then you start talking about like all the men aren't straight, so then you can't go for them. And then, then you start getting into attractions. But my point is, I think the function of those apps is giving women a diluted perception of reality, which then makes it harder for them to want to compromise and reasonably connect with men.
Well, I've heard the same perspective about porn. I know those are kind of, I know where I'm like totally going into that.
It can in terms of the delusional side, I agree. Or intimacy side, I agree.
There are a lot of people who think that porn is evil because it dilutes, they say men, but they say like it dilutes men into thinking that that's what sex actually is.
Of course. So if they don't get to have real conversations about what it is. So
are you saying also in dating apps it can be similar? Women are being diluted. Okay.
Well, yeah. Okay. No.
I'm trying to make a comparison.
That's
there.
a beautiful comparison. That's a beautiful comparison.
Because I've heard the same argument for porn.
No.
Yeah.
I respect that. Let's do it like this because that makes sense. So social media and dating apps, who are they primarily targeting?
Women.
Right. And then porn primarily target too.
What? Men.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is a beautiful comparison because men are the ones that they want that attention, but why are they seeking that attention? Because those men can't get that attention in real life.
Do you think porn is evil?
No.
Okay.
No. Again, I don't live in extremes. Like
I forget.
It serves a purpose.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with it. I think as long as it's consensual, right? But what I do think is if that is my worldview because I don't have healthy conversations about sex and intimacy, yes, it's a problem. Because if you think that's supposed to happen in real life all the time, my friend, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. Same thing I would say to a woman. If she came to me and said, there's an infinite amount of men, I'm going to swipe left until I see exactly what I want. I would say, sweetheart, you're wrong.
Not the sweetheart. It's true.
I'm being respectful.
No,
I'm just saying,
true.
It's like, listen, that's not enough people who are going to fit what you're looking for. Like you can only do it so much. Like,
do you think it only caters to women though?
What?
Like dating apps and like that perception?
Yes. I'm not saying that they don't try to target the guys. I think that they do. But I'm saying that the same way I brought up social media, because I think I think those of us that engage in this stuff, men are primarily the ones that are providing the attention. The same reason why you can say I can swipe on so many guys is because there's a plethora of guys that are seeking out women.
Okay.
There's women I think that want to seek out men, but they don't go, again, like we talked about earlier about attraction. Like I always try to bring everything together. The same way we talked about how women don't seek men out. Men do that, right? We initiate Publix. If I'm on the app and I'm a guy, there's a much, much higher probability that I will never get swiped right on. But for women, I mean, and there's studies that, that justify that. But women will have those options. I don't think that that's inherently a bad thing. What I'm saying is, if I have that perspective, that I will always be able to seek out more, because I keep seeing things and I'm like, it's okay, but it's not enough, and then that's not enough, and that's not enough, and I just keep going and going and going and going. That dilutes my perception of what connecting and dating is. The same way you could make the case that, hey, if all you do is watch porn and you tell me that tells you how intimacy really is, I would say you are wrong. That's not how it's supposed to look. You got to understand that is scripted. People are being compensated. I'm not saying nobody is into that stuff, but to expect it all the time, no, that's not real.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So like how, in generalization terms,
Sure.
right? Like, so how women view social media is how men view real life dating. Because isn't the stereotype of men that, oh, you don't want to sleep with me? I'll find 5 other women, find 10 other women. It's the same thing.
I think
now
that,
it's just women's turn.
I think that guys would like to think that that's true.
But that is the stereotype, right?
No, I think that's the stereotype. But what I would say is that in terms of who actually gets the level of attraction, who gets the opportunity, it's infinitely in women's favor. It's
I can argue
infinitely
there, yeah.
in women's favor.
Yeah.
The vast majority of guys, from what I've seen, struggle to even find a partner. They struggle to even find somebody who wants to take a chance with them.
Yeah.
Versus women will almost never have that issue. Because there's always going to be a guy who may want to engage. I'm not saying he just wants to be with you, that would want to engage with you to see, what you're about, find out if there's an opportunity to genuinely connect in a real way. But I think that's what causes it, and it makes it very, very difficult. And I'm not I'm not an expert on this. These are just things, these are talking points that I hear. These are things I observe. These are things that my male clients tell me, my female clients have told me. And I'm like, wow, because it is very different. We don't have the same lived experience when it comes to that. A lot of men are like, man, I'm kind of desperate to meet somebody. But nobody is like giving me an opportunity to like showcase what I'm about beyond my photo and this little prompt that I filled out on my profile.
I get that. Yeah.
And so like I want to see if there's a way to is maybe like an intermediary where you still use that as a tool, because I think it can be helpful, right? Because you can meet people that you otherwise would probably never meet. But I think there has to be a second step where it keeps us grounded in our expectations being realistic. That's the part I think that we're missing. I think there's too much of like, I'm kind of inflating a sense of ego. Like, I can get anything. So why wait? Why choose this person? I'm going to wait until I see perfection.
Got it.
Which we already know, there is no perfect people. To me, that's where the delusion is.
Yeah.
And again, not saying you are delusional. I think it's creating opportunities for people to have delusional thinking.
I get
just like you talked about with porn.
I get you. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
No, but that was a really good example, because that made a very easier comparison in my mind.
Because I just kept thinking, oh, that's the same argument for porn.
Yeah. No, listen, I've definitely talked to young men who like have had challenges there, and I'm like, that's why we need to be more open about these things.
Yeah.
Like if you or we're fortunate enough to be in a relationship, like you would learn very quickly, like, hey man, with very few exceptions, most women are not going to do that all the time.
Right.
Like, we just got to be real. So if you go into it and then you're like, well, again, like we talked about expectations. Well, I think it's supposed to be like that all the time. And then you're like, I'm tired. And he's just like, you know what? I'm just going to go find somebody else. Like, that isn't going to help him have healthy relationships with women moving forward. Because he's going to keep jumping, thinking that there's always something better. Just like if I'm swiping all the time, I'm always thinking there's something better.
Okay. I get you.
Make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you push back?
No.
Because you're free to.
No, you're good.
Okay.